Test, test, test.
Non, ouais, c'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon.
Test, test, test.
Test. Ouais, non, je reste 48 heures. Ensuite, je vais jouer à Beyrouth.
Oh, génial.
Ouais. À Beyrouth. Et vendredi, et c'est pour un mariage.
Ouais.
Et samedi à Berlin.
Ok.
C'est une vraie grosse semaine.
Oui.
Et j'ai fait 4 gigs la semaine dernière. Je suis épuisé.
Ah, j'imagine. Ouais, c'est beaucoup.
Je suis fatigué. Quoi.
Tu joues à Paris bientôt?
Non, du coup, je vais à Paris.
Ah, bah, j'essaierai de venir. Hey, ça, c'est cool.
Ouais, tiens-moi au jus, quoi, si
Ouais,
tu veux.
ouais, non, j'ai très, très envie de venir. Hein? Ouais, on commence quand tu veux?
Ouais, bonsoir,
Okay.
bonjour.
Bonjour. Cool. Hey, everyone. Really happy to start the day with Dan Ganassia. Can you maybe just start by introducing yourself a bit, and then we'll dig into today's project?
I'm Dan Ganassia, I'm a DJ producer, part of the trio Apollonia, and I have a side project called Alpha Wave Experience, which is an art collective. And we're working on a reinterpretation of Brian Gazin Dream Machine, a device from the 60s that you look with eyes closed and put you in a meditative state of psychedelic journey.
Okay, great. So I'd love to dig into that, but before we get into the genesis of the project, can you just explain for the audience and people looking at it, what is this machine now? What is the experience? How does it work?
So the experience is a flashing light machine, and it's a stroboscopic effect, and the light will impact the optic nerve and modulate your brain frequencies. So with eyes closed, you're going to start to see colors, patterns, and some lucky people can have some daydreams.
Great. What's a daydream? How does it work?
Basically, it's like dreaming, but you're awake.
Yeah, and you had some feedback of specific daydreams and experiences
A
from
lot
people
of,
that
a lot
tried
of
it?
people. We did with different exhibitions and installations. We did over 100,000 people trying our machine, and I would say like maybe 10% of the people, they can see landscapes, people, memories. It's pretty powerful.
It is, yeah, I can attest. I was lucky enough to try it a few months ago, and it was absolutely mind-blowing and very, very cool experience. I'd love to get back to really the genesis of the project. You mentioned the Dream Machine. Can you explain what it is and how you discovered it?
So I discovered it in 2014. I was looking for some visuals for my DJ band called Apollonia, and I Googled some keywords like trance, meditation, turntable, psychedelic, rave, frequency, stroboscope, all the keywords of my field of the DJ life. And came to me this machine called the Dream Machine because all the keywords were on the machine. It was a machine, it was a cylinder stand on a turntable to make it spin with some patterns, a bulb light inside, and creating a stroboscopic effect that you look with eyes closed. So, and put you in a meditative state of psychedelic journey. So everything was on the keywords.
Okay, this is very cool. Do you know, I mean, I imagine you, like, based on your research when you discovered the Dream Machine, like, what is, like, the reason it was created, who created it, and what was, like, the impact of it?
So it was created by Brian Gazin, who is the inventor of the Beat Generation, the Beatniks, so a group of intellectual, they were doing a lot of psychedelic, and the genesis, the story behind the Dream Machine, that he was at the end of a bus at the end of the 60s, and he crossed a forest, and the light of the sun through the tree created what we call the flickering effect. And he felt that put him in this meditative moment. He started to see colors and patterns. So if the light of the sun with the speed of the bus modulate his brain frequency, they figure out that they could create a machine that could do the same mechanically, and they invented the the Dream Machine with the engineer Jan Somerville.
Great. And was the main purpose of this machine initially to be an artwork, or was there already some kind of scientific aspect and clinical adaptation of it?
No, I think at the beginning they were amazed that to be in a psychedelic journey with no substance, and then I think I've been reading that they thought that maybe that was the beginning of TV. And I think they believe at some point that people would buy Dream Machine instead of TV, but that was not the case.
Didn't happen. Okay, so now we have those 50 years after the creation of this machine, and then you really appropriate it to yourself, also based on your background. What is like the start and maybe the best way to discuss it is to think about like the early prototype of it. How did you get started and how do you build it?
So before to start to do, I was thinking a lot of everything happened during the COVID. During COVID, all the DJ we were not working anymore. We were not traveling anymore, and I've been working on. I was interested in meditative music, power of the frequency. I was thinking a lot about the machine, but before to work on the device itself, I've been working on the music. So because the original machine had no music, so the idea was to add music, and using also the power of the frequencies to modulate your brain frequencies with the music, and this is what we did. Then we I'm not an engineer. I had to meet some people to help me to create the device, the piece itself. And I met Eileen Kirsten, who is a designer, industrial designer from South Africa. She fell in love with the project. Sorry. I showed her my sketch, what I wanted to do, and she helped me with the 3D. So we just had the 3D at the beginning, the music, the 3D. And then I met Victoria from the gallery Colnaghi in London during the first summer of lockdown in Ibiza. And Victoria, so the gallery Colnaghi is the oldest gallery in the world, specialized in old masters and modern. And she wanted to modernize her gallery. And luckily, she was organizing an exhibition about dreams, from 17th century to AI, and she asked me if I could build this prototype, and this is what we did. This is how the prototype arrived. So I was in Ibiza, I ran to Lisbon, we built the prototype, we used an industrial fan with a motor that you could modulate the speed, so to have the perfect speed to generate this, recreate this frequency, and that was extremely powerful. So we had to do some tunes, and we start like that. Then few exhibitions, and long story short, I met Fabrice Bousteau of Beaux-Arts magazine after the third exhibition we did in Paris. He tried our first machine called the clock. Call it the clock because you lose track of time when you do the experience. He fell in love again with the project, and he asked me if I could build a machine for 20 people at the same time. This is what we did.
Yeah, this is great. It's really interesting how like there's all those coincidences and the right encounters like at multiple steps of the way. It's a mix between COVID and then the gallerist, then the scientist, and you got to meet all those people to be part of a project. And it really led to like a collective approach, the Alpha Wave experience. So who's in this collective and how does it work? How is it structured?
So the collective has a lot of brains to achieve what we want to do. We have, of course, we work with factories to build the wood, to build the iron. Anin is the industrial designer. We have Diogo and Mauricio, they are coders. They work also on the electronic, on the mechanic part of the machine, but also for the sound. There is a very interesting part because when we did this exhibition with our big installation called the Oracle, we had the opportunity to, instead of using headphones, we used the 3D sound system. So I added my friend Javi Ferrer from Metrica Studio in Ibiza, because he has one of the only 3D studio in Europe, and I had the opportunity to work on this studio. He let me the studio, and we reproduced the same speaker environment during the exhibition in Lille. We had 20 speakers and 20.4 speakers, so basically the sound is just going 360 degrees above your head. So the experience of the 3D sound is already extremely immersive and an experience by itself. So added to the effect of the light, we accelerate all the process and the feeling of the dream machine.
Okay, cool. There's also, like, for everyone to understand, there's also a generative art element to it. So when you have a neural capture, it also generates an artwork based on your experience, which I find pretty fascinating. I'd love to discuss that, but before, what got you to use some Web3 and blockchain elements?
So the vision that you have when you look with eyes closed, the dream machine, I would say they are generative. They're always moving. So I start to really dig. I wanted to be able to show what you can see and not see because you have eyes closed on the social network just to communicate. And I discover a lot of artists of generative art. One of them, part of the collective as well, is Dimitri Touzri. And from the generative art, I discovered the world of the NFT, the world of the Web3, and I did the first collection of NFT 3 years ago. And the idea was to have a generative piece, audio reactive, based on the testimony of the users of the dream machine. For instance, there was one guy who told me, I saw a brain in the cosmos. So we created a brain, and the music was activating movements of the brain. And we had like a collection of seven pieces.
Yeah, I really like the fact that you have the experience, so you're really in the moment. But afterwards, you can also live with something tangible. I know I have it like hanged on my wall, because and then it always reminds me of this experience I had and this meditative state I was in at that specific moment. Why Web3? That's the other question. Is it the digital property aspect of it that got you interested?
So starting this first collection, I start to meet a lot of people from the Web3. Start to understand the philosophy behind Web3 as well. And I met Florian and the crew of ERA 2140, and they were. I told them that we could, with a neurofeedback headset, collect the data of during the experience of your brain frequency. And those data, all the frequency correspond to an emotion. So we used all the emotions during the experience to create this new protocol called MindArt that will feed an AI and create a unique piece of your experience, a tangible memory of your experience as an image, and using a blockchain to have this image as a comment tu dis?
On peut passer en français, hein.
C'est le authentifie. Certificat d'authenticité.
Authentication certificate. Yeah, actually, it was easy on top.
Voilà. Certificate of authenticity of this digital piece. So basically, technically, you create a piece of art with your brain.
Yeah, this is really cool. You obviously come from the electro scene. Have you noticed some similarities with the Web3 world?
The similarities are when I start to DJ, I was extremely happy to be part of the creating the music of the future. That was the feeling, and meeting new people under the banner of a new music. And I feel a bit the same with the Web3 community.
Yeah, this is cool. What I really love about this project is how pluridisciplinary it is. So you have art, you have Web3, you have the scientific aspect, which is really important as well. I'd love to dig a bit more into that and also the potential clinical adaptation of the machine.
Alors, first, just the scientific aspect was something that I was not expecting at all. But I met once again someone by chance called Francisco Teixeira, who is the neuroscientist behind the project. He's a person, he's a psychologue and a neuroscientist, and he cures traumas and with vibrations, with meditation, with music since more than 15 years. And he wanted to try my machine, and we did some tests with a real EEG headset, and we figure out that the brain frequency are modulated instantly. So he's now doing some therapeutical programs that we use for our new device called the Mirror.
Okay, is there some aspect of like chromotherapy? Like what are like the specific use cases where this could be used in the future?
So I would say you have some programs really for the relaxation, for the meditation, anti-stress, and in the other way, some booster for creativity, productivity, and even that program that can help you to sleep, to have a better sleep.
Okay, so there's multiple machine and multiple use cases. You have the Oracle, you mentioned it.
Exactly.
What are the differences between the different artwork you've been putting together with this project?
Can you say again?
Yeah, of course. So you've created the Oracle, and then you have a smaller machine. We have some here, actually, and so people should definitely try it. What is the differences in the experience between having like 20 people in front of it and also having your personal experiment with it?
So to have 20 people, we did this experience in museum, so it's a collective, it's a group experience, and it has its own power, but it's in a museum, we do short programs because it's very powerful, and it's really an artistical experience, an immersive experience. With the machine, for yourself, the individual machine, it will be more for it's very long sessions of 20 minutes or even more. And it's something I would say, for the well-being.
Got it. And so you've been doing that at scale. You had like tens of thousands of people using it. Are you analyzing the data on the back of that and starting to applying more in the scientific aspect, I imagine?
So we don't, because of the museum, we don't have access to the data, but we did our own test, and we know that it's working properly.
Yeah, I can attest. I mean, from personal experience, it was definitely working. So what's next for this? Because like it can go in multiple directions. There's the artistic world, there's the scientific world. Where do you see it going in the next few years?
So at the moment, I'm doing some tests with some facilitators of breathworking, because I tried breathwork, and it can also put you in this very strong meditation. You can have some hallucinations, you can have visions, and I wanted to have more guidance with the machine, so using breathworking and the machine at the same time, I think is something that we work at the moment. We do a lot of tests, and we're going to do a lot of sessions in Ibiza this summer. This is the next step of the project.
Okay, great. And on the artwork side, the artwork created are actually like visually really beautiful. What was the process to create them? What tools are you using? Because I imagine generative art was new for you, right, at that time?
So Francisco Teixeira, the neuroscientist of the collective, already used a digital piece for his clients. They used a neurofeedback headset, and they had to, with their mind, they had to make some moves on the digital piece. So this technology, the technology that we used to do our own protocol.
Okay, great. And they're still involved. Are you getting more artists involved? Like, can we imagine like an evolution also of the visuals with the breathwork as well? Like, how do you?
Of course, we can do a lot of collaborations and working with some assets of the visual of an artist. And for instance, would be great like to have an artist and your brain will reinterpret his art. So this is this kind of thing very entertaining that with what we can play.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially in museum where you want to kind of start augmenting the experience with specific artworks. I can see that working really well. And so you're going to move on all those different directions. If people want to try it, like, is it going to be accessible somewhere in the next few months?
So this summer, the Oracle, the big installation, will be in Singapore in a festival called Glow. And we will have some other exhibitions coming up in Europe after the summer.
Okay, and the goal is to create more machines. Like, how's the manufacturing process working, and how are you thinking about scaling it to those different institution, location?
It will depend on the orders.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because I also imagine it's really time consuming, and you have like obviously a lot of like you playing a lot like at the same time. How do you manage both, and how like do you prioritize also the push of this project?
Well, I have a good team working on the project, and they help me on everything.
Great, and you have new people getting involved in the collective, or is it now closed with the right set of people?
So at the moment there is no new people. No, but yeah, no. There are always new people because now the new people are the facilitators of breathworking, and we try different ones with different techniques. So of course I take them on board.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't know if we have time, but I'd love to dig a bit more into the musical aspect. I've read about it a bit, and you touched on binaural sounds. Can you describe what it is and how it's being used in this specific experiment?
So binaural sound is something that you hear with headphones. It's two sounds at a different frequency, but your brain will hear only one sound. So according to the frequency that you use, it will have an effect on this part of your brain. And this is something that we use also on our programs. Now the way we do the music, the neuroscientists give us a range of frequency, for instance, on 20-minute programs with different frequencies, and we're gonna tune the music according to the frequency of the light. So we change the tune during the track, which is not very something very common in music.
Yeah, this is really interesting. You're kind of inversing the way the music is being created. So like the wavelength are going to adapt the music and not the opposite. It's not the music creating the wavelength.
Exactly.
Great. I think that's it for today. Thanks so much, Dan.
Thank you.
Great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the experience is open. I really recommend everyone tries it. It's mind-blowing.
Hello. Are we ready? Come on in, guys. This is going to be a good conversation. All right, so good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Day number 3 at the Cannes Lions 2024. Honored to be joined by 4 brilliant creative minds to talk about, what are we talking about? No, I'm joking. Creative agencies in the digital age. I joke because we're saying digital is not a new thing. And we're going to try to avoid the topic of AI. Not go too deep into that because you might be overwhelmed. Okay, well, David's going to speak about AI. No, you're allowed to talk about anything. So I'm Katie. I oversee the revenue operations at Decrypt Drug Radio. I would love if each of you just gave a quick 30-second bio, 30 seconds to 1 minute.
Okay. Well, I'm Julien Grimaldi, and I am the CSO and General Manager of Friend & Farid Paris, an advertising agency. And I'm really pleased to be here with the creative minds around me.
Hi, I'm Laura Jordan-Bambach. I am founder and chief creative officer of Uncharted, which is a new agency. We're 10 weeks old. And prior to that, I was president and chief creative officer at Grey in London.
Cool. Happy founding honeymoon, you know. Like, feels great, right? Yeah. I'm Andre. My position is a joke. So I invent stuff for brands and publicists as a chief invention officer, chief creative officer, whatever, in a few markets. But you probably know me mostly from Heineken works, like the Heineken phone, the Heineken closer, the Heineken virtual beer. So every year we bring something like that in here.
Lovely. My name's David Sheldon Hicks, founder of Territory Studio. We work, you probably know us for the feature films that we work on. So we just worked on Dune 2, which I'm not allowed to talk about, sadly. But we've worked on lots of big Marvel films and all that sort of thing. However, we also do some really beautiful motion graphics, digital work with agencies and brands. So hopefully I'm going to chat a bit more about that today.
So I'll start off by asking each of you, actually there's another mic. By each of you, just because it's day 3 at Cannes, 3 words to describe where you are on your journey thus far at Cannes. And I'll start with Mr. Heineken.
That's a nice name to go by. I like it. Yeah, well, three words are, I think, honestly, on the topic also that you mentioned, right, that we will not pronounce. But I think that topic is responsible for the first word, confusion. So a lot of confused people. Then, well, I would still say it's excellence because we always strive for creative excellence. There's a lot of it in here, so everything is fine. And the third one, I don't know. I would say maybe the last one is disillusioned. You know, it's maybe more personal because we also see how differently Cannes hits every year, and the more we participate, the more we also realize that sometimes it's not the end, it's the means. Sometimes it's nice to win. Sometimes it's better to to go with the client. So I would say confusion, excellence, disillusion.
So I can put those three words into a sentence. Somebody asked me something similar yesterday, and I said, living on instincts. I think that we can sometimes, it's not to say that we should be dumb, but I think we can over-intellectualize the way in which we work in the industry, and sometimes just being quick, being passionate, going with gut instinct, it's kind of, it's in our DNA. Like, we're all wonderfully thoughtful, creative people, and sometimes not tracking with the data or just like questioning ourselves and just kind of going with that is like the fun that we all had in this industry, and I love it. I love it for that. So I think sometimes just helping our teams just be that much more instinctual, it just brings the pleasure back into everything that we do. So I think that's what I'm thinking about a lot at the moment.
Thanks. I'm going to be a true creative, and I've got 4 words. But they also fit into a sentence, and it was something that I was talking about yesterday, which is more optimism, less optimization. I feel like there is a grip on a lot of work that we do because of attribution models and because of what's happened over the last 15 years in digital, which has actually stifled a lot of the amazing shit like what you do. I mean, not your work, but that the creative innovation, the technical innovation, creative technology in general. There was a time I feel like it was really experimental, and it would be wonderful. And kind of my passion is to get back to that place without some of the metrics that get in the way.
And I would say human. I think it's. So in some way, it's a banality, but that's the wonderful side of Cannes, is the human side of it and how we meet from all around the world, and we need that more and more. I would say values also, because it's a way to see all around the world where we stand in terms of values, what's in, what's a bit off. And I think it's interesting also to see the evolution of that. And the third word will be bullshit, because we see also tons of that here.
Awesome. I think that inspires really the human. You use the word human, but living on instinct and more optimism. All these words that just really describe what it means to be human. So curious, because we're talking about digital and creative, the intersection between human and machine. So curious, I know, David, you want to talk about AI a little bit. Be curious your perspective on, where that intersection lies.
Yeah, so a lot of our work on film is thinking about how do you make technology feel emotive? Like, how is this technology actually going to move the story forward? And I think there's a lot of opportunity actually for all the brands out there to just think about, we go so quickly to modernism and simplicity and, form follows function and all of those sorts of ideas. And that is totally true. That's like just a given. But we all want to enjoy life. I think we all want to think about, well, why is actually, there's a great quote or meme that's banding around on the internet at the moment. I wish I could credit whoever put it down, which is the idea of, I don't want to spend my time doing the dishes while AI does the creativity. I need to flip that, please. And I think ultimately we need to think about the reasons that we're using it, the reasons that we are engaging with it, and are we still all bringing back that pleasure in the process and the people that we work with. So for me, it's about going back to human. I think is great. You know, how do we instill some emotion back into this to make it worthwhile? You know, I think we are triggering dopamine. I think we need to look at that, and there's some other layers that we can put in there to make it more human, to make it feel more connected and emotional. That goes back into what creatives do so well in the world is we understand people. And if we can bring that back into the work, I think there's a lot of opportunity there to partner with the brands, partner with the platforms, and have our own unique space in all of this. And I don't think that's kind of a utopian dream. I think it's just we haven't found ourselves there yet because we're being reactive. And I think it's kind of up to people in this audience to kind of drive that forward, get behind it, get excited, and just show people what the potential is. And I think the world needs that right now. You know, I think they want creatives to lead, show them the way, show them what's possible. I think we're really good at that.
Thanks. Andre, would you say, how would you simplify confusion? Like, how would you simplify for the audience, someone who was confused?
Yeah, I think that you basically nailed it, I think, right now, because that's the confusion element, right? What is that human part? I would even maybe rephrase that as search. You know, it's not just confusion. People are searching what is that human part that we can empower. And honestly, it's almost like that's on one hand, on one side, it's like the last stand, right? Where like, yeah, we don't want to be replaced in the good stuff. We want to be replaced in the boring stuff. So how do we stand our ground to keep the good stuff to humans? On the other side, I think it even eliminates more the good stuff. It's like we were just discussing before, that it helps you find what is that actually unique thing in each of your employees that you actually have them for, because you're not having them for this daily work, you know, that is normal, that is actually probably going to be done by those two letters. I don't want to pronounce them. By it, right? But the outside of it, that helps you actually focus, because otherwise now we often go like, guys, I need this quickly done because there's nobody else to do. Maybe if there is someone or something else to do, those two guys, that creative couple would be more happy, because now they can go a bit further in their, you know, dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, Julian, do you want to add to that?
I totally agree, but we discussed this before. I would say the funny thing with artificial intelligence is that it reveals actually, I would say, two things among us humans. There is a very optimistic thing, and there is another one. I will start with the other one because I prefer to be optimistic. The first thing is that there is artificial intelligence and human stupidity. And there is a lot of things that we are afraid of with artificial intelligence. There is a lot of barriers. We were also talking about that in terms of integration and diversity, inclusion. And actually, a lot of people are blaming artificial intelligence for that. The thing is, artificial intelligence is based on what we have put on the web, us humans. So artificial intelligence is not to blame, it's us. And it's on us to change this. And you're already aware of that. So that's one thing. On the optimistic side, I would say that the great thing with artificial intelligence is that it reveals human talent. And I think that's the way also to use it. You know, I'm thinking about electric guitar. Electric guitar has been invented and played like thoroughly, but maybe in quite a boring way, until someone put fire on it, split on it, and electric guitar was really born when Jimi Hendrix used it. And the difference, it's human talent.
That's actually important. Laura, talk about how your evolution with this new venture that you're launching, because it does seem like there's an intersection between human and machine and how you're operating.
Absolutely. So we have really been founded. There are three of us founders, and we're sort of the girl geeks of the industry in London. I'm very, very passionate about technology, and I've spent 30 years very much in the sort of the tech and innovation space. So we love technology, but we also really, really love people and human talent and those really special things within people that make the work fantastic and connecting to culture properly. And so we have a lot of AI underpinning what we do. Then we also have a team of, at the moment, maybe 45 really interesting creators and makers. So some are contractors, some are really sort of more content creators, some advertising is their side hustle, some have come into the industry, but because they've got a different background or a different experience, they can't, sort of make it up the kind of the machine that has become, a lot of the holding companies and that kind of thing. Some have retired and come back, some are still at college, but it's a really wonderful community which we built first, and we've been able to do that also because of technology, right? Because actually one of the amazing things technology has given us in the last 15 years is being able to pull communities together. And then, when we get a brief from the client, it is exactly the right people for those projects, using their special individual skills, because they don't have to do everything anymore. That allows us to get to the really good briefs. I believe that 100%, the more different the people are that you bring into the project, the better and more interesting the project is out the other side. So.
For sure. Super interesting. Andre, I know your career has been also at the intersection of technology and creative, and you kind of are hybrid. How has your own creative process evolved over the past year? I would say, just in your own experience.
Yeah, it actually evolved, I would say evolved back into amalgamating, if that's even a word. My previous industry, because I was a software developer and a team lead for years before coming to advertising. And when I came to advertising, I was rejected for many years. I asked Lauber not to hire me for 3 years in a row. And they would say, yeah, but we don't need programmers, we need copywriters, we need creatives. Imagine this today. So it was in 2009, but that's the thing, those were two worlds apart. And for instance, even the creative process that I used, at least organizing thoughts, I always did it with Microsoft Project or Trello or Excel or something. Now it becomes the normal thing, so things that I'm using for 15 years, now I see, there's more team members that can connect to that process, and I think that becomes more, how do I say, there's more cross-pollination, which is really good. Over the last couple of years, thanks to all the collaboration techniques, tools, whatever you call it, and general technical literacy, and then you have younger creatives coming in, with a fresher attitude. So that helps a lot, because we have been, for instance, running a lot of proactive brainstorms with teams, just like you described, makers, engineers, at different stages of their lives, and that collaboration gives birth to ideas like the ones that we're doing, a bit more than a direct brief to a creative team or two, because then you're already drawing the track and they go that track. But if you have, okay, guys, let's think what would be the next invention for Heineken, and then we also think why, and then we also think, and then always there's a strategist in the room also to do that, to say, that might be useful for this. So ideally, I think I need more and more ideas that started from non-creatives. That would be the ideal result, someone like a creative technologist suddenly saying, we could do that, and then the strategist picking up, but that means that connects to this kind of territory, and then the creatives filling the gap between.
Super community, collaboration, crowdsource, kind of this is actually an interesting evolution of what technology is actually enabling more of, which is a fascinating takeaway. How has your creative process evolved, or do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I was gonna respond to that. So I think it's really interesting that I think we're all kind of moving towards a new model, which is like completely non-binary in its kind of outlook in terms of creatives. I struggle with making a distinction now between tech and creative. Like code is a very creative output. You know, people are essentially conjuring stuff from nothing, and I'm thinking about it a lot at the moment with education and schools. You know, you have science, engineering, maths, English, and then arts kind of on the outside. I'm not starting to feel comfortable with that, and I think it continues on into business, and we really need to look at that more generally as a. Can we stop creating this delineation and the kind of us versus them mindset within our space? Because it kind of goes back. I think we need a different type of problem solving. I think like looking at that language and that delineation. So thinking about, I think you're a wonderful kind of example of was once in code, now moved on creatively. Like it doesn't really matter. I love the term creative technologist because it starts to just kind of like shorten that gap and bring it all together again. And I think we need to start to think about these definitions because I think it actually really matters to teams and their sense of belonging and how they collaborate in a space. I think that has a bigger impact, and I think it does start with education. I think we need to kind of go back to some of that and kind of readdress it.
If I may respond to response, just one short thing. You said you mentioned the word non-binary, which is exactly what I'm saying when I'm hiring creatives. I'm like, okay, which gender are you? And they would usually like, oh, what do you mean? I mean, like copy or art, right? But now there's more than two genders in that sense, you know. So it is non-binary in that way. Yeah. It might be like someone with like a coder, so we don't put them on a copy or art role.
As we are more and more connected to different technologies in our daily lives, you know, I think that the collaboration between technology and creative minds make the soul even more fertile for us, for challenging the norms of creativity, and I think that's really, really exciting.
I was just going to say, really the best creative people and the people that we look for and hire, and I feel like we're probably all in agreement here as well. It's, you know, it's curiosity, it's that sense of wanting to play. It's, Raj used a great word yesterday, also the hunger. That those are things that never change, and they're the things that you want to, you know, find in brilliant creatives. Then it doesn't matter where they've come from, really, because they'll just bring their different experience into the work.
Kind of making me rethink artificial stupidity, human intelligence, because I think we haven't unlocked what's possible with human potential. And curious your thoughts on, I mean, what you said about the inputs into the machine, if you will, have been, so I guess, are you optimistic about what can be birthed with technology and humans collaborating closer, cross-pollinating more?
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously we have to be also responsible because there is a lot of issues. But as the thing is quite new, it's okay. There are issues like rights, like you know this kind of stuff, like inclusion. But yeah, we are totally optimistic. Because again, it just opens new gates for creativity. That's just the thing. And a couple of weeks ago, I met a photographer, and she was used to go on the field and traveling a lot and making really nice photographs. And she got pregnant. And that was the start of Gen Creative AI. So she started and she was like, oh, that's really not great in terms of craft, that's not great in terms of creativity. That were the beginning of it. There was a lot of flaws and everything. And then raising her child, she was like getting into it again, and she was like, oh, actually, I can't go there because I need to be with my child. But with the machine, I can be there, and I can make the photograph I want, actually. And that enables tons of creativity for her, and she's like explored new things. So yeah, I think that's one example of what the power of creativity, artificial intelligence can unleash. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I've got a friend of mine as well called Halidonto, who does a lot of AI art, filmmaking, what have you. But just watching him work, so he comes from a place called Dundee, which is the north of Scotland. It's quite a poor place. And he is writing an AI opera by building models with young people from low socioeconomic backgrounds. And he's writing this incredible opera, which is hopefully going to be out next year. It's so beautiful. Like, there's so much beauty and poetry, actually, in what you can do with the tool once you kind of get in there.
What's inspiring you right now?
God, I wasn't ready for that one.
You're very uninspired.
What is inspiring me at the minute? So parent goes immediately to kids because of the innocence that's there, and what I love, like going back to the whole idea of passion, and they don't think, like they just do, like they are instinctual, and I kind of look at them and go, oh God, I'm so jealous of that. Like there's so many other thoughts that go through your mind before you actually do something. So they're influencing me a lot at the moment, and I'm seeing the world through kids' eyes, which is great. Spending a little bit too much time in Minecraft, if I'm completely honest. And my 8-year-old is a lot better than me. He constantly reminded me, and is already coding. You know, he's doing his own mods, he's building his own worlds, and my daughter is massively into Pokemon and like character writing. So I'm not trying to influence them to get into the creative industry, but maybe a little bit. I'm not telling them not to spend time on their screens, because I'm seeing it as a real creative endeavor. And then to that, I mean, you know, Laura and other teams like that who are just like re-looking at the world in a new way and like reassessing and coming at the problem in a completely different aspect. I think people like that. We do a lot of work at the moment with Thomas Heatherwick, and you know, just seeing how an architect responds to this space, and they're thinking about, okay, well, I love designing the physical environment, but if it's going to have a digital layer, I want to be a part of that conversation. So it's seeing people step outside of their domain, being a little bit uncomfortable, and then playing with what the results of that could be. And I love seeing people do that. I think I've probably built a studio on that idea, which is, well, we do this thing, but we're not actually going to do that. We're going to do this thing over here. And we're completely unqualified to do that, but I think it's going to get some really good results. We don't always mention that to the client. Probably not going to end up working with anyone in this room now. But I think, yeah, we get excited about the stuff that hasn't been done before, and that people feel a little bit uncomfortable, and then we don't help them realize just how risky it is, but it will be okay in the end. So I get excited and inspired by those sorts of things. Yeah, doing new stuff.
Being audacious, changing the mold. But I'd be curious then, Laura, like as you're out talking to clients and, you know, evangelizing your new venture.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as a creative, it probably comes with so much challenge, and also like met with, I would just be curious the response from a client perspective with breaking the mold and doing something different.
Yeah, look, I think we're in a really great situation. I think the three of us are lucky enough to have had those like big ass jobs and have a reputation. So in some ways that makes it easier, and have had a long history as well of really building inclusive teams and making sure that people felt like they belonged even if they didn't feel that anywhere else. So we have had an enormous influx of incredible people wanting to come and work for us, which is great, and join our community. But the feedback from the clients has also been really good. Our motto is set out without fear. And it's what we say to our clients. I think, you know, there is a there are some brilliant work happening, and there's a lot that happens on the hamster wheel because clients are a little afraid of stepping off, or agencies are a little afraid of changing, or media agencies are a little bit afraid of like what is out there. And I think if we can put that to one side and be a bit uncomfortable, as David said, the work just gets better immediately. So I think clients are seeing the benefit of that and being able to help them more confidently go into the bits that they don't know. Yeah.
Andre, what's inspiring you right now?
Well, I mean, that answer has already been given. It's the kids, not your kids, my kids. But I think we have enough for everyone, right? But that's exactly the thing, that you start looking with kids' eyes again. And actually, that is needed even when you start a creative career. You need to be a bit like over excited by everything. And I was like, oh my God, my first shooting of a film, you know, oh my God, the first headline that was approved by the client. That's the kids' feeling. Then as you mature, you become more boring. Then your kids, right? Then your kids show you how to get excited again. And for instance, that Heineken phone thing that we did, it was from my middle daughter, who was like 5 at that point. And she was very upset that the closer, which was also shaped like a smartphone, it was not really doing anything else. It was just open beer. She's like, Daddy, why don't you make a Heineken phone? And together with the strategy that we are building for years, that creates an idea immediately. You're like, oh yeah, of course, why don't we? Because it's a social problem, right? The smartphones are a problem for social life. So easily, and then you understand what kind of a phone that is. And she had no idea, but she gave that first spark. So that's, yeah, now I'm like telling her, she's my middle daughter, she just turned 7. I'm like, Aurora, we need new ideas. like, tell me more where you get it from. Yes, yes, what else have you got? Yeah.
I hope you're giving her a commission on those.
yeah, we should start. yes, yes.
Part ownership. Awesome. Yeah, Julian, what's inspiring you?
I think since I've started this job, people, like the way they behave, the way they are, the way what they feel, and maybe it's because I'm a strategic planner, but I've always been interested in digging that, trying to understand and size the beauty of it. And trying to serve it to the creative minds, so that giving them angles. I think that's what inspires me every day.
Laura, I'll ask you the same.
Okay, so what inspires me is, I think, as creative. So there's an amazing poem by a guy called Arthur O'Shaughnessy. He's an Irish-British poet. And he wrote a poem that goes, "We are the music makers, we're the dreamers of the dreams," which is also Willy Wonka or Aphex Twin, if any of you are into Aphex Twin. But the poem that he wrote is all about that as creative people, we have the ability to set the vision for the future for others to follow. Like we, whether that is science fiction writing or the amazing work that David does, actually envisaging what the future is actually going to look like. We're at that cusp, and we see it maybe before other people see it. And I think it's really exciting to be here and to be inspired by some of those things, and to go like, wow, okay, it's helped me move a little bit further forwards into what I think is going to happen.
And it's true that we have the power, thus responsibility, to set some stages for the people. And the thing, maybe I'm the proudest, or when, in the adverts we have made, we have been the first to introduce a gay couple, or putting colored people in some countries that were supposed to be reluctant. And I think that's super important. And a great responsibility for us. Yeah,
just enabling people to think different and see something. I mean, set culture, just kind of reflect back culture. because even Andre, I think what you said about the phone and Heineken, yeah, and then like it's the reminder that we're so on our phone that we're disconnected from the social, which is what Heineken is all about. So that alone allows people to consider something different and like, yeah, just kind of define future that we want to live. How much time do we have, by the way? I have no idea how long this panel is. Jordan, how long do we have? Because I will keep going if you guys want. Okay, perfect. David, tell us about, I guess your relationship between the client, like your clients, customers, major brands, and your journey. I know you wanted to touch on AI a little bit and just the receptivity and kind of, where the sentiment is at.
Yeah, so it's funny, we work on a lot of sci-fi films, and the directors on those films often they'll present all the problems. You know, it needs to be a dystopian future to be interesting and exciting, and we kind of feel okay with that as humans, which is, so directors are often using that as a statement on where we are, not where we're headed. It's like we're kind of here right now. Like when we were working with Spielberg on Ready Player One, that was really a commentary on social media and our kind of digital personas online and kind of like how that, and there's positive in there and there's negative in there. And I think what we're seeing with brands, the big ones that we work with, some of the big tech players, it's okay to present something to your team that's wrong. That's fine. Like, let's create a discussion. We're going to put a stake in the ground, and then let's look at that and talk about that. And the C-suite are really excited to, it's almost wargaming. You know, it's like, what if, let's play that out. Let's see what that looks like. Let's discuss it. Because that conversation is really important. And I think, you know, it's funny. I find it weird that I think you know, art imitates life, life imitates it. There's that bounce constantly, and I think that's why it's when we're working on computer games or films, it's so relevant to the real world. It's so relevant to what we're all doing, because it's really important to imagine what if, and then just throw those ideas out there and play around with some of them. You know, we've kind of all been talking about that sort of energy, but at the most senior level, it's critical to the way of thinking, because ultimately it's how are we going to be different to everyone else? All of our competitors have AI. All of our competitors have technology. Is it really a war of spending, or are we going to have a point of difference here? And our point of difference needs to be a category leading idea. How are we recreating a category and owning that space? And if we're not helping the brands to do that, I don't know who is. So we need to be at that table. We need to be having those conversations and helping them understand the new open opportunities that aren't being. AI is generative. It's not really solving a new problem. That's not really the opportunity. The space for AI is all the stuff that we aren't doing yet that it can go into. And I think if it just becomes a generative thing, I think that's really quite boring. And I think that's the missed opportunity. And I think it's people in here that can be a little bit punk, warp it a little bit, and throw some things out to kind of raise the conversation and look at those new things that it can be. I don't have the answers for that yet because I'm under NDA and I can't talk. But, you know, I think there's just so much exciting stuff coming through that's not it's not a binary thing. It's not technology and humans. It's just all in the mix. And I think we're lazy if we think that it's all established, it's all done, and there's no new thing. There's so much new stuff, and we need to get ourselves off that hook and get onto the new things now. It's stop worrying about what's gone before. We now need to kind of really help the brand see where the new spaces are. So that's my take on AI. I think AI is a wonderful mirror of average and everything that has gone before. It's a wonderful way of synthesizing an echo chamber of human patterns. That's fantastic. We're not there to do that. We're there to kind of lead into the new space, and that's how it's useful as a tool to kind of reflect that conversation and then move on from that.
So it's almost like a jumpstart kind of new way of thinking, really, really enabling that new experience. Andre, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that if we go back to the client relationships, then again, there's a lot of, then again in parts, there's some of other great PNG brands, Bumpers, Oral-B, and I would say that, yeah, there is this ongoing, again, it's like an uncertainty, right? That the clients would ask for workshops on AI, like to understand it better, to understand what it does, what it doesn't. Then ultimately, I like the most the clients or the client persons that are sticking to some, how to say, North Star outside of that question. You know, it's like, okay, how can it help us stay like on creative excellency route, which is, for instance, like one of Heineken's key, pillars is to stay inventive, stay fresh. So how can we stay fresh if it helps? If it doesn't, we don't care. We put it in operations. Again, can't speak for all of the clients, but I think more and more are coming to the same conclusion. It's like, oh yeah, will that empower us? If not, let's not waste too much time. Let's not overinvest in at least the human hours. Let's delegate it to the operations, so that something is done faster somewhere. But I really respect that, because in the beginning I was a bit scared that now everything has to be, a part of that. And then look, no great campaigns except self-referential were done like specifically, oh, we did like a very cool mid-journey or whatever thing. No, it was like, yeah, people played with it and then continued doing great work without really looking that way too much. Like it's not my work, but one of the things I wanted to mention, for instance, from Publicis from Conseil from Paris, an amazing campaign which says, no, not everyone can live without a car, which is about the problems of France, cracking down on car owners. But then there are people who live too far, who start work too early or something about, because of public transport. Look, there is absolutely nothing about AI, but it's so relevant right now that, it doesn't have to always come back to that.
Reflecting culture. Julian, anything else?
Well, I would say that as Gen Creative AI tools are available to everyone, some of us were kind of afraid at the time that, oh well, the clients will do their own stuff. Some of them did. And I can't show you the result because it's horrendous. But I think that's super reassuring that those tools are available to everyone, because you can really see the difference in between a creative mind using these tools and non-creative minds, such as mine or many clients, using these tools. And the result is very, very different. So actually, again, this artificial intelligence is just there to highlight the power of creativity and the power of human minds. And yeah.
Good point.
And look, I think it'd be really interesting as well to think about how you use AI to figure out what not to do, because it does give you, by default, a bit of a blandification and a very Western attitude, actually a very kind of US attitude about things and people and ideas and what have you. And it can be used incredibly creatively if you take the time to understand the tools with a creative mind. But it can also be really good for popping something in really quickly, seeing what you get out and go, okay, I'm going to avoid that because that's obviously what everyone else has done or what everyone else is thinking. And so I'm going to start from a totally different place. So I think there's, other interesting ways to use AI almost to like remove the stuff that you don't want to do from the equation.
Okay, awesome. Does anyone in the audience have any questions for our brilliant creatives? I feel like I could sit at a round table with you for hours. I'm like, dive into your brain.
Has anyone seen any work? Is there a key piece of data coming out now that they've had as well? Has anyone seen what they've talked about? Or anything we should go and have a look at?
Sorry, but you mean any piece of work?
Is there any work that's being awarded that you admire?
Yeah, well, for instance, that thing about the cars, which I think for Renault is pretty amazing, to stand for the entire car community. There's there's a lot. I think that it's more interesting to find little gems, to be honest, than the usual suspects. Some smaller thoughts that didn't win big. Like that is, for instance, one of them. Of course, there's also that amazing case about for Orange for the women football. Yeah, exactly. That's everyone is aware of it, right? Everyone is talking about it. I like, for instance, there was yesterday in a gaming in the exposition of for entertainment lines for gaming. There was one very small case that was building up on the. How do you say? It was about the streamers, the tensions around cyberbullying with the streamers, and it was so vague, and something was like basically like introducing. I don't remember, unfortunately, the advertiser. That's the bad part, right? But it was so cool that it was also not trying to be too techy, but also tried to introduce this intelligence into the way people talk to each other in gaming to make that world a little better. So I think if for any users of AI, again coming back to that topic, I think wherever it can actually help somehow human interaction, not replace it, that will always work. And again, it was not a strong case. I don't remember much of the details, but it put a thought in my mind. What if it's actually something that works with us? Again, doesn't even replace, but somehow allows us to be a bit nicer.
I've been sort of doing I saw John Legend talk yesterday, actually. I thought that was amazing, and talk about his craft and his creativity and all of the businesses that he's spun off. So, not only is he a musician, he's got a pet food brand with his wife, he's got a wine brand, and he's got a skincare brand. So it was really interesting to hear about those processes that he went through to develop those brands, and how he's continuing to develop them alongside music. So that's been my favorite thing here. But actually, my favorite piece of work I've seen in the last couple of days, there's probably two of them, and neither of them are here, but I guess they'll be here next year. One is for Telstra, which is like the Australian version of the public phone company like BT in the UK. And they've made a series of 28 really short films, and they're stop motion. They're beautiful. But what's beautiful about them is every single one is set in a tiny town in Australia, that if you're from Australia, you'll know the towns and you'll know their personality. And they're just tiny, really beautifully crafted little things that brings the vibe of that town to life using really cute little animals in stop motion. It's gorgeous, and I think there's something really beautiful in the specifics. If you can find the specifics of an audience, you kind of open it up to everyone in a really interesting way, because you're not relying on that kind of stereotypes or on kind of broader ideas that people can't connect with. That one, and then of course the KFC Believe in Chicken, which is bloody everywhere. Every time I turn on my phone, it's more chicken. But the interesting thing about that is I've had that sent to me by a lot of people that aren't in the industry, so that is always a sign of good work.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Julian, Laura, Andre, David, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys being here. Enjoy the rest of your can.
Thank you.
We have an experience on the boat, combining neuroscience and music. You have to close your eyes and you will see the journey.
Okay, sure. Give that a go.
Yes. I know about it. I need to check the mails because I think I'm so
Busy. Have you got more of these?
No, but I need to deliver the slides for the tomorrow one. Not tomorrow, sorry, Friday. But anyway, tomorrow at 8 is rehearsal, the terrace break, and it's like a huge deal, yeah. And a lot of meetings today. Yesterday was a much busier day. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was very nice meeting you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks, Andre.
That was a great chat.
Yeah.
Really good chat.
I know, I was like, oh, we didn't have time. So I was like, well, it's okay. Everyone missed out. It went out to the ethers. You know, it's in the collective consciousness now.
I've been told by my team I need to chat to you. I don't know why.
Est-ce que ça te... T'as envie d'essayer l'alpha-wave expérience? Ça dure 5 minutes. c'était pas du vin, on aurait été hyper large. Hein.
Moi, je suis dans un état.
Dans le métal.
Derrière le tableau.
J'allais dire, vous êtes beaucoup normalement. Vous parlez en français ou en anglais sur Rennes?
En anglais, je pense.
En français, s'il y a beaucoup de français, c'est mieux en français.
C'est comme vous voulez, c'est juste pour ramener du monde. Hi everyone, please welcome back and come back to the stage. We're going to have our next panel, which is going to be about voicemy.ai. Create, share, and inspire with your AI voice and song. Please come inside so you can enjoy the panel. We'll have Zakaria Labid, the CEO and co-founder of Verstate.io and Third Labs, and Madi Rakam, the COO and co-founder of Verstate.io and voicemy.ai. Come here, come enjoy the panel, and then have a great day.
J'ai demandé à... Non, attends un peu. Jordan. Jordan, on fait en anglais, ça va, c'est ça?
Ouais, on a fait un anglais. Je laisse lead un peu. T'as eu la réponse ou pas, Pierre? Non, faut que les panels le matin, c'est bien fatigué. Fatigué de nous. Les vendredis, vous êtes le seul à faire quelque chose. Tous les autres bateaux, il n'y a personne.
Tout le monde part vendredi?
Ouais, c'est la fin. Moi, j'ai vu, tu sais, la meuf qui est venue hier, Catherine, je sais pas comment elle s'appelle, la blonde.
Grosse, là, truc là, tu as fait quelque chose de gros, non?
Ouais, grosse.
Elle est pas grosse.
Non, c'est nom de famille. Et elle m'a dit vendredi, c'était jeudi, hein, vendredi après. Tous les bateaux sont finis. Et tu sais, on avait regardé sur le bateau là-bas. Pareil, ça fait jeudi, vendredi, c'est rien. Mais après, ils les enlèvent. Ça, vendredi soir, tu peux pas tous les enlever.
Vous devez les enlever.
En vrai, ils vont pas les enlever, ça coûte cher le carburant. Bah ouais.
Ah ouais, à ce point.
En vrai, tu peux laisser le bateau, tu payes la place de. Je sais pas si je vous ai dit, mais la conférence, elle passe en live sur YouTube. Ah ok, bah super. Ah hier c'était en live la soirée? Ouais. Aussi sur YouTube? Juste parfois on a des on peut pas montrer les danseuses nues si on est bloqué par YouTube. Ouais je vois. Il y a certains artistes qui tu vas te faire striker la chaîne. Hier ils voulaient pas être montrés en live. Mais oui, le programme est donné en live. Ah ouais. Il va y avoir la rediff automatique. Non pas énormément mais un peu. C'est trop marrant alors. Ouais, on va envoyer le gros live. Putain, en vrai c'est une orga hein. Moi, frérot, si je tiens le coup, je tiens le coup moyen. Early this morning. Tu vas te stresser, il y a le temps là. Bah oui, ça va. Non, mais parce que mec, avec la route là, c'était la galère un peu avec les Uber.
Ah, VIP alors.
On va. Bah, tu connais. On va parler avec notre petite voix douce. Tu vas te faire une petite tomate mozza? Ah non mais en fait c'est pas ça. C'est le premier. Mais non mais attends, premier jour, ça va, t'as de l'énergie. Deuxième jour, t'as moins d'énergie. Troisième jour, c'est bon, moi, j'ai atteint ma limite. Et je pense le quatrième jour, mec, le lendemain. C'est le lendemain qu'on pitch avec Seb là? C'est demain. Ouais, c'est demain. Non, c'est après-demain. Seb, il arrive demain.
Oui, c'est demain. Il y a Farok, il y a Seb, et à 15h en plus.
Aujourd'hui, pas d'alcool.
Ça a été un panel assez propre.
Je te jure. Je l'ai fait la moitié de la semaine là. La moitié, t'as fait 2 soirs, ça y est. Non, je peux pas. Il va te à la maison. Tous les soirs, il est à la maison. Et oui, comme ça. Le random. C'est à cause de toi, mec. On était là. Je pense à 3h du matin, même Maddy avait envie de dormir, c'est ta faute. Une fois, moi, j'étais le seul alors à me dire, putain, les gars, franchement, là, on abuse. Dans ma tête, j'étais en mode, on va jamais se réveiller. Jordan, mec, j'étais là, j'ai mis mon réveil, gros. On va jamais te réveiller, Zach.
Lui, à 9h, tu débarques dans la chambre, j'avais mon réveil qui sonne à 9h. Vas-y, je me suis dit, vas-y, tu endors une demi-heure, tranquille, ils sont pas réveillés. Lui, à genre 20h.
Vas-y, ouais, carrément. Ok. Ah, test. Ok, let's go.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so hello guys, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here today so early. We're gonna present ourselves quickly because even if we know some people here, because our friend come and we love them. Thank you guys. Thank you for the guys that we don't know, and let's present ourselves. So my name is Maddie. I co-founded, like it's written here, Verstate and and VoiceMy. And today we're specifically here to talk to you about VoiceMy, which is an AI, generative AI platform. So we're gonna tell you more about like how we did it, the marketing strategy we implemented as well to reach that growth. Because in the space of 9 months, we've reached 600K users registered on the platform. So and for very, very slow amount of money, really well optimization of cost in terms of marketing, and we're going to tell you more about all that. But first of all, I'll let Zakaria present himself a little bit as well.
Yeah. Hi, nice to meet you, everyone. Thanks for being here. We're happy today to present our company, VoiceMy.ai, that we created with Maddie. Of course, this is not just our first company. Since the beginning with Maddie, like we met when we were young. I started to code at 10 years old. At 13, we met on Minecraft with Maddie. This is where the relationship that we have has been created. Like
we've met in a video game. We've met in a video game, actually. We've met on Minecraft, which is a famous and very renowned game that's still to this day is very famous and played by a lot of young people. So actually we've met in a confrontation. This guy, he learned how to hack very, very young, and he hacked me in a game. So actually we became enemy before friends. Then a friendship turned into a business partnership, and we ran the first venture together for almost a decade. And now, since 3 years ago, we've converted this activity in a bigger agency that was designing games, so created game content, working with brand and all that to create content. But we were very interested in AI, especially in terms of how it can fast test our process internally. Since we're designing, we're doing a lot of search in terms of designing 3D models and creating game using generative AI. And finally, we started to fell into another thing, and we started to create product. And today we're going to talk to you about our first product, which is a voice cloning feature that worked very well. Like we had a lot of motion and traction, especially last summer. That was like the merge of what you could do with music and generative AI at first. And for the French people here, if you know some people, like for example, last summer, a Belgian singer, very famous, her name is Angel. And basically, a member of our community basically created a song that was very viral. I think it went up to 15 million views. And she even like sang the song in a real life show. So we can really see that AI here created content for just fun. And it became even like a song in her repertoire in the show. So that's quite amazing. And yeah, so we did that, especially using a lot of marketing strategy based on TikTok. But I can let Zakaria a bit talk about the technology side behind that.
Yeah, because that's really interesting because, you know, everyone in AI, you know that there is the company like the OpenAI and the big one who are creating model, and there is the famous LLM, which everyone is using maybe today, ChatGPT, and all of that is created by big company. You have all this model that is available today, but there is also the open source side, because there is this problematics today that people don't go directly to create AI startup because they think that it's complicated, maybe to train the data, and it costs a lot of money. We take the path that is the most easy to create VoiceMy.ai. Like just to give you like the amount of day that we created this app, it's like 7 days of development. Like 7 days with 3 days without sleeping. So it was really a rush. But that's really interesting because, you know, and in AI, Like we can think that voicemy.ai is really a complex AI technology. No, it's not really complex. Like the voice cloning AI model is an open source model that we are using. So the goal of voicemy.ai was taking open source model to convert and voice clone voice. Like for example, I think I can take the Macron talking for like 2 minutes, and after I can use his voice for everything that I want, like using text, and after having the robot that will talk, or I can also talk right now in real time and change my voice with the voice of Macron, and that's the type of technology that was able to create voicemy.ai. But what is crazy is taking all of this is not just the AI, which is the most complicated part to create this type of application. The most complicated part is all the architecture. When I go on the website, I click to create a voice cloning. What is going to do in the back end? So today, all the companies, sometimes they are going to buy, all these GPU, like, OpenAI just leverage a lot of funds, millions of dollars to have all these biggest GPU. Today we are using like AWS to run in cloud the GPU and create all this functionality for the user. Because when we have 100 users that is using the website, at the same moment, we have 100 GPU that is available for them. So this is the most complicated part. So it's like the architecture, the back end. So the AI is not the most complicated part to create this type of application. And one other thing that is really important is with just one model, like for example the voice cloning, you can create new AI that doesn't exist. For example, the translation. Maybe did you see some video that you just take a video of you talking in French and you can convert it with you talking in Japanese in few minutes? That's not just an AI that is doing everything. It's free AI model that can be open source, that is mixed. So that's why it's really crazy, like in this world that we are going to see in few months, in few years. The most important part is not to have access to the model. It's to merge every model, and you can create an AI that doesn't exist for us. Like the AI translation is a mix of the voice cloning, to take your voice or another voice, the text-to-speech, because we are going to take every text that you said during a video and convert it. And that's crazy because everyone thinks when you have an AI that is translating you in Japanese, you think that the AI is doing everything, but it's just multiple model that is running at the same time on a GPU that is creating that. And that's really important and interesting. I will let Maddie talk more about how we created all of that.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. Because basically, to be more clear, the platform that we created, like, at start, like you said, the creation model industry is very, very difficult. It takes a lot of money, you need the GPU. We left that to the big guy. But every single day, when a model is released, it's an opportunity to either increase the quality of our existing product or create a new product. Because there's a lot of talented researcher, that create amazing model, but putting them in the market is a whole different thing. So this is why it's so important to be able to create product out of it, because the user, they don't want to, they don't want it to be difficult. They just want to be able to click on a button and generate the AI content. This is simple as that. So today, since we're in Cannes Lions, it's a marketing event, we're also going to share a bit of wisdom about how we did it, because it's also very interesting. At first, basically, to give you an idea, I think we, in the space since September last year, like middle of August, since today, we've reached a little bit above 600K registered email on the platform. At first, it was a freemium, so we were spending a lot of money to, just educate people and let them
spent too
try.
much. 100K like for 2 months. But
that was the strategy. So we were able to lock an investment from one of our partners, but we said, look, obviously we could pay influencer to promote our tool and all that. We said, no. Instead, what we're going to do is that we're going to give it for free. Come try it, guys. This is it. Like, you have nothing to lose. You can just try it for free. And this is what we did. And so you can see the interest for AI, and people went in to try it. But it's something as new. I mean, here, it's also especially for the Joker community and everybody. It's a Web3 event as well. And everybody in Web3, new thing, they can be scary. They come with new opportunity to do good and bad. And sometimes you can have bad press. So AI, for a lot of people, can seem very scary. So for us, giving it that for access for free was a very important part, because it was like, guys, you're not risking anything, just try it. And as this day, we have many, many of the users that left, and we keep growing every month doing that. But other than that, since we decided to do that, we didn't have much marketing budget to invest in, growth and doing campaign. So what we did instead is that we went on TikTok. We targeted the trend. TikTok, which is, in my opinion, like the most fair platform to create content if you don't have a community. The algorithm is much more generous. You're going to have much more visibility than you can have on Twitter or on Instagram, for sure. So based on that, we targeted some young page very, very early that were growing fast and making views. And at first we made some acquisition. We took some Discord over, one of the biggest AI hub community in France and in all the French world as well. So basically, this is what we did. And we created content and in ourselves and with people that we only affiliated with because they were a small creator. But we reached so many people that at the end of the day, we were able to get, I think we accumulated more than 400 million views in like the space of 3-4 months on TikTok. And only from TikTok, I think we have like something like half of our users come from there as well.
Yeah, and for the international part, like what helps a lot, what's TikTok, the Discord of AI, because we had the AI Hub Discord of French, so it was the biggest Discord in France of AI community. We bought this Discord at the beginning. At the end, it was like 40K users. I don't remember exactly, but like we had another Discord, which is the top world Discord of AI Hub, with like 500K people inside this Discord when we were talking during the creation of VoiceMy and advertising this company. And what is crazy, we use Twitch. Twitch is like for the marketing. Sometimes you need to pay the influencer directly. Like it costs a lot. So what we did on Twitch is creating an account with the name VoiceMy AI test the website, and we are going to every Twitch, the biggest Twitch influencer in France, and we were buying like a donation. And when you make a donation on Twitch, in the front of the screen of the influencer, you see VoiceMy AI just give you like $10. Go test the website. Go test the website. And we had like all the top YouTubers in France going on the website, testing, seeing that they can have their voice cloned, and they used the other YouTuber voice to create some jokes, and that was really crazy because every time a YouTuber, a Twitch guy going on the website during the live with like 10K people in live on Twitch, the website was done directly. The website was crashing directly. So that was really crazy. It's a new marketing strategy, which was really important because we had also Squeezie, which is the top YouTuber in France, going on this website because of Twitch. And normally to reach Squeezie, which is one of the top YouTubers in France, you need to pay a lot of money to advertise your company. It was like a free advertising, and he said, they are smart, like they are just creating donation.
Game
like
recognized
this,
game. I can tell you guys, when he come up to me and he said, I got an idea for marketing. We're going to spend a shitload of money on Twitch donation everywhere. Every time there's a guy connected, and it was very viral. So there was a lot of content made about them. So this is why they were very interested. Like in France and TikTok, back then, like last summer, a lot of music was coming up with like the voice of French influencer and all that. So basically, it worked. I was surprised, to be honest. I'm glad it did. But yeah, many times, like sometimes you just give someone like a few subscribers to his community and all that. And, obviously some people are against it and you're just going to ignore. But there's other people that were like, oh, that's a cool way to promote thing. And they say, okay, I'm just going to take a look at it. So, and yeah, so nothing conventional. Obviously, like I said, even on TikTok and all that, what we did was really go from down. Like we don't see much value into getting something that's already very, very big, got a lot of subscribers. It's much more costful to get in, and it's much more difficult. So instead, we kind of fragmented influencer. So for us, we're not saying like we need a guy with 100K followers. we're gonna need 20 guys that got 5K, because those guys, they're gonna be able to do it with only affiliation. They don't generate money with their page yet and all that, but they're gonna be interested into learning how to, and we're giving them access with that with affiliation. You know, they got traffic, they got people watching their content, but they don't promote anything. We said, guys, come up, promote our things. You put a link there, and we're gonna do a revenue sharing on the subscription that you bring us. You know, so that was huge, and for us, you know, we were able to work with accumulation of more than 1 million subscribers with all those pages that we work with, but paying for a guy that got 1 million subscribers is not the same that working with